I'd like to call the meeting of the Joint Internal Services and Government Oversight Committees to order and start with Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3, adoption of the
Final
agenda.
adopts the agenda.
Thank you. Commissioners Romano and Grant made the motion and supported it to adopt the agenda. Is there any discussion? Please vote.
Motion passes 12-0.
Thank you. Next, item 4 is the approval of minutes for the Joint Internal Services and Government Oversight Committees dated January 24th. I need a motion to approve.
So move.
Thank you. And I didn't catch who second. Thank you, Commissioner Grote and Hall made the motion and seconded it to approve the minutes. Any discussion? Please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Item 5 is public participation. This is the first opportunity for public participation, which is open to those who wish to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes on any item on today's agenda only. There will be a second opportunity later in the meeting for public participation, at which time you can speak on any subject. Item on the agenda, please state your name.
Jennifer Walker.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Walker. Some of you know me as one of the deputies of our clerk register of deeds, Anthony Ferlini. And we wanted to come in and talk to you commissioners today about item 10 on your agenda. We didn't know this was coming up. Tony isn't particularly keen about us being here, but we kind of wanted to let you know our thoughts about this. And it's in regards to the compensation of the elected officials. I know they're making some increases to kind of catch up to employee salaries, but one thing that still remains is a gap between the clerk register of deeds and the other elected officials in the county. Now, Tony has done a lot to innovate the office, improve customer service, and all the services we provide to the public. He is really a true public servant. Honestly, the money doesn't really matter to him. He thrives on fixing problems and making things better. But from our standpoint, it's about, and from a business background, it's about what can you do to improve the business or the organization for when you're not there. And that's where I think the board should consider fixing this discrepancy, especially considering that in the clerk register of deeds, whoever is elected essentially is managing 4 different departments and 100 employees. For example, we have twice the employees of the treasurer's office, but the clerk register is paid less. We've done work to increase some staff compensation in our own office just so we could attract the talent. Because since we serve the public so much, they do expect the same kind of services that they get in the commercial world. And for that, you have to innovate. And for that, you need more talent. So I would say to keep the clerk's office running at the pace it does to keep up with that public expectation, that this position to attract a talented individual should also take that route. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public participation?
Good afternoon again, Commissioners. I'm Carol Chi. I live on 35325 Moravian Drive in Sterling Heights. And I wanted to comment about the resolution number 9A that's postponed from January 24th. I would urge you, it's about the water affordability and accessibility bills. There are 5 in the State House and 5 in the State Senate. And I would urge you to either support them or not comment on them at all, but definitely do not oppose them. There are a great number of people that are impoverished in the state of Michigan. This is not only talking about Macomb County, but since Macomb County is one of the 3 largest counties, or maybe one of the 4 largest counties in the state, I think it's our responsibility to support everybody in Michigan, not just the people, not just the residents of Macomb County, even though that's really your main job. But think about everybody, because this will affect everybody in the state of Michigan. Poverty is increasing all over the state, including up north, down all over Michigan, really. Just imagine what it's like, and I hope you did that little homework assignment I asked you to try last night, or maybe this coming weekend. Just go around and write down how many times you use water in the house and see if you can survive without it. People's water's turned off. It's a 5-year felony if they turn off the water, if they turn the water back on themselves. That just shouldn't be. It should be decriminalized. It should not be a felony. It would just turn, one of these bills would just turn it into a civil offense with not even a fine, just with some public service, doing something for community service as a payment. Children can be taken away from families. They often are if the water's turned off because it's an unsafe household to live in if you don't have water to wash and cook and clean and everything else. So just imagine what it's like. And if we expect people to pick themselves up by the bootstraps when they don't even have boots or socks to put in the boots, then we're asking a little too much. We're not realizing that there are impoverished people that need our help, and it's only $2 a month. Maybe going to $3 eventually. We already support DTE by over $6 a month, and I think we can do $2 more on the water bill. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Michael Grix from Chesterfield Township, and I'm going to speak briefly on item 10, the ordinance to establish the new compensation for the elected officials. The county has done a lot of work in the last few years to address the compensation for the employees to bring them up closer to where they should be. Elected officials, in my opinion, should be treated the same way. They deserve appropriate compensation for the work that they do. They are no different from anybody else. In addition to the inflation aspect that affects all of us, speaking for the county clerk, or not for the county clerk, regarding the county clerk's duties. The county clerk is the chief election official in the county. There have been a number of changes to election law and to the Constitution regarding the running and implementation of elections, as you're well aware. So the county clerk's duties have changed and increased over the last few years as well. And I believe that the county clerk's position deserves a change in compensation to reflect that.
Thank you. Anyone else for public participation?
Hello, Commissioners. Is this on? Hi. It's great to see some of you again. I was up here a couple weeks ago. My name is Christy McGillivray. I'm the Political and Legislative Director for Sierra Club, Michigan, former Mount Clemens resident. I now live in Harper Woods, so sorry I crossed the county line. But I'm here to really urge you to table the resolution in opposition to the water affordability legislation that's in front of you. I know that we all share the same values of making sure that Macomb County residents have access to safe, affordable water, and this is an incredibly consensus-building process that is currently happening in Lansing. So I would really offer and extend an invitation to all of you, including Commissioner Miller. I'm really glad you're here, so we can talk through the details of the package and reach consensus on our shared goals, which is making sure that everyone has access to safe, affordable water. So I'm available to talk afterwards. I know a couple other folks will make some more pointed they'll raise some more pointed data points for you, and I encourage all of you to keep up the conversation instead of taking a formal position on legislation that is still being debated. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Brian Burdak. I live in New Baltimore, 51696 Promenade. I'm also here to talk about the elected official resolution. Having the unique opportunity to be an administrator in the clerk's office over multiple clerks in what's kind of been a short period of time, I have always found myself wondering how it is that the county clerk has always been the lowest paid of the county-wide elected officials. Certainly, as my colleagues from the office have pointed out, an ordinance reflecting a pay increase is definitely due. And as they've said, we have made adjustments in the office to try and bring all of our employees in the office up to even being comparable to what some of our counterparts in other county offices earn when we were making less. And so we very much appreciate that. I wanted to point out some comparables to take a look at that I wish you would consider. In our neighboring county, Oakland County, the clerk, the treasurer, the sheriff, and the public works all earn the same salary. The deputy clerk in Oakland County, who is a former clerk from our county, left this county and is earning a significant increase in his pay in Oakland County from what he earned here in our county. In Wayne County, our neighboring county, there is both a clerk and a elected register of deeds. Both of those individuals earn a higher salary than our clerk, and our clerk does basically both jobs in this county and is in the county the lowest paid of the county elected officials. I bring this up because when we look at our own county employees countywide, we do comparables with all of our neighbors and other counties of our size to look at, what is fair and equitable for the pay in that position. Lastly, if you numbered all of the county employees in this county from the top to the bottom in terms of their pay, the county clerk comes in at number 60 on that list. That was in 2022. I think if you take a look at it with the adjustments that were made, it's even that position is lower on that list today. So I would hope you just keep those in mind. I do think it's important to correct this sometime in the future. I'm not necessarily here to speak on behalf of who's sitting in the position now, but I think it is something that probably should have been addressed, in past years, and hopefully will be addressed at some point. Thank you.
Thank you. Public participation, anyone else?
Hi, everybody. I'm George Higgins. I'm here again. I was here a couple of weeks ago. I just want to thank all the commissioners who voted to table the motion about the water affordability bills that are passing through the legislature. I think Commissioner Song made some really salient points about how this is really not something that is going to directly impact the county's budget. It's not comparable to the 911 surcharge that you guys collect from Verizon, I think. I think it's 42 cents per cell phone, I read. And I want to thank Commissioner Miller for coming as well. It's funny, I actually listened to her on a podcast recently. So it's a little surreal seeing somebody you just had in your earbud in person. And she's the only person I split my ticket for ever. So I think everybody respects her work for reducing combined sewer overflows, discharges, I think is the term. But I listened to her on the podcast, and I think she made really 3 points that she's against this legislation because of that we already have RAP, right? That there isn't an opt-out from Macomb County like MEEP. And that this doesn't help Macomb, the idea that this doesn't help Macomb or that it's a cash grab. The fact is that the amount of money remaining in RAP is running out from Macomb County. GLEWA said we were gonna run out of our RAP money, our RAP funds this year, and then seniors, working families, people with disabilities who would qualify will have to be turned away. Macomb Community Action won't be able to help them. The opt-out in MEEP, correct me if I'm wrong, is only if a utility chooses not to do shutoffs at all, like completely excuse shutoffs. And I think Commissioner Miller and I can both agree that that's not, possible for water. Stephanie Chang has been very clear that this does not ban water shutoffs. It does not give anybody free water. And the idea that this doesn't help our community, we're all safer when we have access to clean, affordable drinking water. I think that's something we'd be really mindful of. And I would just encourage you to, again, table the resolution. This legislation isn't moving anywhere until April, right? It's just not possible. It's not gonna go through State House till April, so you have more time. And I've heard from a couple elected officials in, cities who have passed resolutions similar to this, that they regret their vote on this similar, resolution. Spencer Calhoun and Mount Clemens in particular, he's hosting a town hall today promoting the legislation, despite voting for the same resolution that was sent to the city commission by Commissioner Miller's office. So I would just encourage everybody to please table the resolution, take more time to deliberate, take more time to hear from experts. And I'm not sure where the clock is, but thank you for listening to me.
Hi, my name is Susan Delaberti, and I live in Clinton Township, 41202 Worthington. And I'm here because I especially noticed for item 9, resolution that we're all talking about. It sounds like it would be best to table it, but thing that I was so amazed by is that we're talking about $2 a month on my water bill, or anybody's water bill. There used to be a time when we all paid cash for stuff, and you'd end up with a bunch of coins in your pocket. That's $2. That's 50 cents a week, I think, that I would be thrilled to pay this to help anybody who needs to maintain water in their household. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents. And just let you know that as a citizen, I just want to help the people get their water, and I'll pay my $2 more than happily. Thank you.
Thank you. Visual aids are always appreciated.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Matt Phillips. I'm a resident in Shelby Township, Macomb County for the last nearly 30 years. I'm the Chief of Staff and Chief Customer Service Officer for the Detroit Water and Sewage Department. Prior to working for DWSD, I was the Chief Operating Officer at the Heat and Warmth Fund. I spent nearly 10 years of my career working with families that live in chronic poverty throughout the state. So I know firsthand there's a need for an affordability plan to pay water bills, including all my neighbors in Macomb County. I'm here today to urge you to support the package of water affordability bills pending in Lansing. State will use these funds it collects from the funding factor in this legislation to ensure that low-income families pay a water bill consistent with their household income and receive debt forgiveness and minor plumbing repairs to conserve water and other wraparound services. Nearly 10%, or 25,000 households in Macomb County live at or below poverty level, and I know they would benefit from this program. The legislation does not prescribe free water. The customer still must pay a portion of their bill that's associated with their income. The state law merely requires that the water providers put a $2 charge on their water bills and remit that amount to be paid. The water provider has no liability if their customers do not pay this $2 funding factor. I've heard from some leaders in Southeast Michigan that the Great Lakes Water Authority RAP program is enough and the state funding mechanism is a double tax. The Great Lakes Water Authority RAP program produces $4.2 million in assistance to serve a system that only serves 4 million people. It's not a statewide program, and RAP is not enough to address the needs of low-income residents in Macomb County. In fact, the Macomb County Community Action Agency recently said they will exhaust all their funds, likely within the next 30 days. Some leaders say that Detroit gets all the money, or will get all the money. The fact is, the Detroit Lifeline program has erased over $45 million of debt and helped pay water bills for their low-income customers over the last 18 months. I know this because I manage the program. Others say that the $2 fee is only the beginning. Legislation is actually capped at $3 per account. This is very similar to the Michigan Energy Assistance Program. Since 2012, all electric meters in the state of Michigan are charged roughly $1 per month to assist low-income households with a maximum collection of $50 million. While others believe that there's no protection to protect the utilities, including myself, for tampering with utility lines or service lines, the legislation actually does prohibit a person from tampering with utility lines, and if they restore their water, they can incur civil fines, including misdemeanors, depending on the damage that's done.
15 seconds, sir.
Thank you. This legislation, I believe, is long overdue, and I hope this honorable body sees the importance of ensuring water bills are affordable as energy bills for low-income households. You can live for weeks or months without heat or lights, but you can only live 3 days without water. Thank you very much for your time today.
Anyone else for public participation?
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Lauren Marks, and I'm here on behalf of United Way for Southeastern Michigan to urge you to consider a no vote on the resolution before you today, introduced by Commissioner Kraft and Commissioner Sabatini, that opposes recent legislation introduced by Senator Stephanie Chang and others that would address the pressing issue facing many residents around the state, which is water affordability. The proposed legislation would create a dedicated source of funding while also setting affordable rates, provide shutoff protection, arrearage, forgiveness, fund plumbing repairs, and offer wraparound services for those most in need. We know that over 317,000 Michiganders were behind on their water bills during the COVID-19 pandemic, highlighting this as a public health issue and demonstrating the need to improve water access in every corner of the state. The greater southeastern Michigan region is home to over 4 million people, 40% of which fall below the ALICE threshold, a widely used relative poverty measure describing an individual or family's inability to fund a basic survival budget and who are asset limited, income constrained, and employed. As of 2021, 37% of Macomb County residents fall below the ALICE threshold. Our 211 call center has seen a surge in need for water bill assistance and home plumbing repairs. Water requests currently rank at the top of the list in assistance sought by residents throughout our region, but when families can't access assistance, they are subject to shutoffs or financial penalties, which present an immediate threat to health, well-being, and safety of our most vulnerable residents. Over the last year, we have received nearly 17,000 calls from Macomb County and city residents looking for resources, with almost 600 specifically looking for water bill assistance. There are currently 1,003 people enrolled in the WRAP program in Macomb that is administered by Macomb Community Action Agency, showing that there's a growing need for assistance here in this county that you represent. This legislation takes a holistic approach to water affordability, aiming to bridge the gap between revenue local communities need to provide safe, reliable water to all residents while protecting access for lower income households.
10 seconds, please.
Okay. United Way for Southeastern Michigan recognizes the urgency of this issue, and we are encouraging your support of our most vulnerable residents facing water shutoff, including families with small children and those with a disability. We ask that you oppose the resolution before you today. Thank you.
Public participation, anyone?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I need to firstly apologize to Commissioner Grott. I had promised to follow up with you since the last meeting, and I did not, but I would still welcome an opportunity to chat regardless. Thank you. I'm going to actually just read my statement this time so I stay on point. Thank you, Honorable Commissioners. It's a pleasure to be here. I wish again to offer my public comments and request of your
Will you
support.
share with us who you are?
Oh, sir, so sorry. I am Sylvia Orduno. I am a Detroit resident, and I'm a director of the People's Water Board Coalition, which has members in Macomb County. I wish to again offer my public comments in support of a request for you to consider the statewide water affordability legislation in a positive way. Last time, I have statements here too, so read these here. Last time I was here, I described reasons why many working families and fixed income residents in Macomb may get behind on their water bills, particularly many of them who experience changing economic conditions and who are having trouble being able to keep up with the cost of living these days, including groceries. Many of you know that when plants close or when workers are laid off, in the case of the recent auto factory strikes over unfair wages and benefits, that oftentimes other things can lead to catastrophic events that cause problems with people being able to pay their bills, including being victims of crime, car accidents, being the family breadwinner who's passed away, and so on.
But I want to bring your attention more so to the other half of this. We've spent a lot of time talking about the impact on low-income households. The other part of this is that cities and townships across the state have not adequately addressed the costly water infrastructure issues that have raised these bills for residents more than 180% across the state, according to a recent University of Michigan study. Residents have little to no say on how water rates are increased and financed on a regular basis. Local governments take out loans and bonds on our behalf that we have to pay for through customer bills, and there isn't adequate consideration of what that impact is on people who can least afford to have it and have no alternate provider. You can't pick another water service company to give you the services. So yes, while RAP is a good program, it is not designed, it never was designed to address local government failings to control rate increases and how they pay for infrastructure. Nor can the 40-year lease agreement between Detroit and Gliwa be opened up simply to allow more funding for RAP. If it was, Detroit may wish to renegotiate the terms altogether. What is particularly troubling about some of the perspectives brought before and within this commission is the lack of attention on the water bill debt transfers onto property taxes as tax liens. This is not a harmless action by water departments to the county tax authority when struggling households now must worry about losing their homes on top of what they do about water bill problems. If they struggle to keep up water bills, you surely know that property taxes are a problem for them as well. We know that in many communities,
10 seconds.
there are infrastructure issues and green work that you're trying to do, but those are also going to be costly. So we're asking you to take all of this in consideration as you think about what you feel about this legislation. Thank you very much.
Anyone else for public participation? Last call, public participation. Okay, we'll close item 5, public participation, and move on to item 6. Item 6 is a budget amendment for facilities and operation, Macomb County Animal Control Facility Space Needs Assessment and Site and Space Planning for $43,500 and reimbursable expenses not to exceed $40,000 or $4,000, excuse me. I'd like a motion for 6A and B together.
So move. Support Hall.
Thank you. Commissioners Nard and Hall made the motion and supported it to move the full board.
Awesome. Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am here to talk about items 6A and 6B. They're both related, one being the budget amendment for the other. Items 6A and 6B are related to the animal shelter space needs assessment and site/space assessment or programming. This service was publicly bid by Macomb County's purchasing department. 3 bids were received in a committee of individuals, including my department, animal control, the county executive, purchasing, and Plant Moran Rail Point. Made a selection of the most qualified bidder, Animal Arts. The cost of the assessment is included in the F&O capital plan. The selected firm, Animal Arts Design Studio, has extensive experience with design of animal control facilities. The selected or the team offers diverse experience with large, complex renovations and additions of facilities of very similar types all around the country, including Canada as well.
Thank you. Seeing no speakers, please vote. Thank you.
Commissioner Romano, did your vote pop up?
No, ma'am.
No. If you want a voice vote, I can add it in.
No, ma'am. Yes, it's a yes.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. At this time, I'll turn the meeting over to Government Oversight Committee Chair, Commissioner Hall.
Thank you, Chair Van Sickle. I will call the Government Oversight Committee meeting of Thursday, February 8th to order. First item on the agenda is contract Hunch free marketing services, $4,025 a month. I need a motion to refer to full board.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Van Sickle, supported by Commissioner Romano. I believe Crystal is going to speak on this. You have the floor.
Okay, hi Commissioners. the contract before you is our regular contract with Hunch Free. This will be our third year with the same contract. If you don't have any questions at this time, I was going to turn it over to Matt Pitters from Hunch Free. He has a brief presentation for you and then can take any questions after.
Thank you, Crystal. Again, I'm Matt Pitters. I'm the Managing Director at Hunch Free, and I'd like to thank each of you for the time to be able to present some highlights from the last year of working together and for consideration of our contract to renew our services for the next year. I'm going to start off with just a little bit of an overview on what we do for the Board of Commissioners and the different areas that we touch as part of our work together. And really around all of this, we're focused on social media, on, taking, photos of events and capturing, some of the outreach that the board has in the community and the interaction. And also, communicating those things to the public through a number of different channels, including email, the website, social media, and through various forms like video, printed communications, copywriting, and digital communications, like through social media and the actual email program. So I'm going to just kind of really quickly, because I know there's some other important things on the docket for today, kind of go through the highlights, and then I'll open it up to questions that you might have. So kind of looking at each of these areas, I wanted to just highlight on each of the kind of the focus areas as part of our work together, some of the things that we've done together. One of the things that we do is each of you are interacting in your communities all the time, right? So every single month there's different events, different things going on that each of you are engaged with in the community. We actually were on site at 36 events this year. I'm really proud of that number because I think we increased from 15 the year before. And this is a great opportunity for us, one, not just to capture a photo or a small video from that event, but also to take that opportunity to learn more about, what are the things that are important in each of your communities so that we can do a good job as your communicators to communicate those things and, what your interactions are with the community and with those important topics so that the larger community can become aware of it, even if they weren't part of that event. They have a different communication vehicles to engage with these important things. These are a few of our favorite pictures, right? And so this kind of highlights the number of different types of events. You see some of them on Selfridge Air Base. Some of them are, kind of those public speaking things. Some of them are on site, outside. And so there's a lot of different things. We try to, even if we're in different formats, different places, make sure that all of the photos still look on brand, right? Still look of the same quality, still look, presentable and professional, no matter where or what the settings were that we were taking them. This is a list of the different photo opportunities or events that we covered in 2023. And so we had 36 of them, so we're averaging right around 3 a month, which was a commitment that I made to you when I was here the last time, renewing our contract for 2023, was to increase our presence at events and to increase our coverage. And I'm very excited that we did just that. And we've already started kind of making our list for 2024, working with your staff. In social media, this is a place that we manage, 3 of your channels. We're posting on a regular basis, anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week. Sometimes around the holiday season that increases because there's more activities, more events than other months, but we're on average doing at least 3 times a week. Despite us working together since 2021, we're still driving improvements in the way that we're seeing the community engage in your social media channels. So I won't go through all the stats, but I've included some of the stats there of, some of those important things that we're looking at in terms of reach, the number of people that we're actually reaching in the community, through Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, the number of new followers. That's showing that we're producing content that people are engaging with, feel is valuable, and are, following your channels so that they can get more of that information sent to them. The other thing is we also are looking at, things like the amount of posts that we have. So we've had 251 posts on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, which is fantastic. We've actually increased Instagram by quite a bit. I think we were right around that 137 mark the year before. So we're making sure that we're being present regularly, for all of your followers. And then we're also doing things on the back end of this with some detailed analytics and metrics so that we're looking at not just, okay, we have a number of posts, but how are those posts performing and how is that informing our strategy on what we're going to do next so that we can continue to move the ball forward year over year, always showing improvement in that engagement with the community. As part of this whole program, we actually are helping you with some paid outreach. So you have, a small budget that, for a couple of important things each year, we did 3 paid campaigns, typically right around that $300 per campaign budget, where we actually spend some money with the social media platforms to promote these posts outside of your normal following. So this is where we're able to take some demographics, target, the people that live in the communities that you serve, that you want to reach. And one of those was the Take the Tri-County Broadband Survey. And you can see that we had, for a relatively small budget, we had a significant reach, able to reach over 13,000 people and able to get over 21,000 impressions and able to reach an audience that you don't normally reach with the day-to-day posts that we're doing that aren't, part of a paid program. Another one was the October budget meetings. This one, we have even greater reach and even greater engagement. We actually saw over 225 people click and go over to the website. So we manage and we host and manage a standalone website for you where we actually use space on that website to work in conjunction with the things that we're doing in social so that when people want more information, there's a place for them to go. There's an easy place that we can update, and we can update that very rapidly as your needs change. The last one that we did in terms of paid campaign was the November the budget review meetings. And again, so over 150 people, actually going out to the site to get information. That's a great indication that, we're getting engagement. We're getting people that want to dig deeper, not just see the post and click a like, but actually click on it and go to the page to learn more about what the topic is. Through all this, we're trying to maintain your brand presence so that everything looks uniform, it looks professional, and that as people see any type of communication that we're doing, whether it be email or print or social media, it looks similar and it looks connected and it looks professional and of a high standard. This is just a sampling of some of the social media graphics that we did over the last year. And you can kind of get a sense of how we're using different elements. Even though they're very different topics, we're trying to keep them visually cohesive together so that the Board of Commissioners starts to develop a brand and there's a brand standard for your communications. We also do photography. Each year we kick off with making sure that we're taking headshots of all of you. It's a professional headshot so that you can use it as part of social media posts, the website, and also through whatever you need to use it for as part of your role as commissioner. These are really important because it creates consistency across all of them. You'd be surprised that a number of the companies and organizations that we work with, you go to the About Us page and you get all kinds of different pictures. This creates again that consistency of professionalism across the organization. This is a sampling of the email campaigns. I'm really proud of kind of how the other channels that we've managed, including social, have helped lead to this list growing. So you have a subscriber list of over 15,000 people right now. In the last year, that's grown by over 760 people. So that's showing, again, another point of great community engagement. They're seeing the information, they're learning about the information, and they're voting with their activity to say, yes, I want more of that type of information. Please send me more of that information. So that's a great thing that we like to see. Another thing that we do with our media outreach is we send press releases. So we sent 8 press releases to over 70 plus media contacts across Metro Detroit and Macomb County. So as there's newsworthy events, we're working with your staff to kind of define what that is, make sure that we get a press release, and then, send out those press notifications. And then as those come back in, we actually coordinate with your staff to make sure that, if there is a media inquiry around that, we can, get it to the right person so that, it could be one of you, it could be, Don or somebody on the board that can, reply to those media inquiries. The last thing I'll say is the website. And the website is kind of like that anchor point, right? So we're doing the email campaigns, you're doing, social media, you're doing the print things. And in all of those, we have ways back to the website. And our goal is to create kind of a muscle memory that your Board of Commissioners website can be a, source of information. And if they want to know what's going on in the county, some important things that are going on in the county, what is, their commissioners up to, the website serves as that place where they can go and learn about each of you. They can find out who their commissioner is. We have a great interactive map that we keep up to date so they can see what district they're in and very simply click it and find out who their commissioner is. And that's starting to work. We're actually seeing, continued increase in the amount of visitors that we get to the site. So last year we were at 40,000, and some change. The year before that we were at 33,000. So this is another point that we're looking at to make sure that we're seeing the engagement in the activities that we do with the community and using those as kind of proof points and then using them to set the bar for where we come in next year, right? We always want to beat yesterday is kind of the motto that we have. This is a sample of some of the print work that we did. I'll just point out the fact that we, even in print work that we're doing, we try to bring in the digital. So we used a QR code and we actually used a link tree so that it would be very easy for folks if they wanted to have more information about any of the topics in there or about the Board of Commissioners. It's easy to find. Just scan that QR code and click the links to be guided to the information they're looking for. We did the same thing with a retractable banner design. And we also, helped out with designing the 2023-2024 guidebook and, bringing that brand, for the board across all of those different touch points. Video shoots, I talked about, we do photos and video shoots at those 36 events. There's a couple of events that we go above and beyond just kind of a snapshot video for social, where we actually are the video team for the whole event. The Tri-County Summit is something that we've done last year, and the Legislative Town Hall, where we were actually the video crew, and we filmed the entire event from start to finish. We're also starting to use video content more and more within social media itself. So through our pursuit of beating yesterday, there is more and more of a demand of innovative and fun ways to communicate. Using animated reels, using video content, we're able to find a new way that we were able to communicate with folks on social media. So this is something that we did more of over the past year. And these are kind of a couple glimpses of, the yoga at the hill and some of the other events that we did reels at, and that helped drive some of those engagement improvements that we saw over the last year. The last thing I will share is just, I'm always trying to beat yesterday and even giving you homework to try to beat yesterday. So a couple of things just that you can do to help us together collectively. On social, make sure you're tuned in to, what is being posted on your social media channels. Use your own personal channels to either, share posts, like the posts, make a comment about the posts. That helps to drive the people that are connected to you into those posts. It also helps the community to see you interacting with that, and they know that this is something that is very important to you, and helps them to see that this is a communication channel where they can go to for information moving forward. And then in email, I think just continuing to share the newsletter, encourage your followers to subscribe to it. That could be done in a number of different ways, right? It could be part of your ongoing email communications that you may have on your own. It could be sharing it on social media. There's a lot of different ways, and my staff and myself are happy to work with you individually if you want to talk through ideas on how you can help either in social or email. And the last thing in terms of I didn't put it on here, but what I would like to explore is the use of rapid created video for those of you who are up for it. There's a number of different things. We can't cover every event as much as we'd want to. So there are times where we could potentially look at, content that you've captured yourselves or you've had somebody capture for you. That could be you reacting to a current event. It could be, you just went to an event and you want to, make a couple of comments on it. I think there's an opportunity for us to use some of that type of content too. And I would love to explore that, with any of you who feel, kind of personally up for that type of challenge or that type of thing. I think there's a space for us to use, the channel, of course, with staff approval and making sure that it maintains the goals and objectives and rules that we've set in place for how we interact with the public. But I do think that there's ways that we can use content that each of you create in this channel to boost it even more than what we've done in the past. And that's to the end of my summary. I appreciate the time that you've given me to do a little bit of bragging. I'm super excited. Every single time I'm up here, I am super proud of what we've done together so far. I live in Mount Clemens, was born and raised in Mount Clemens. I work, you could see the office from here. So I'm a hometown guy and love the interaction that I have in the community in doing this and helping others, to discover the important initiatives that each of you are working on in the community. And so I'm really excited to continue that. And I know my staff it shares my excitement.
Thank you, and thanks for all you do. That may be the longest short presentation we've had, just so you're aware. There was a lot of bragging there. Commissioner Zong.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Very well.
Thank you for your presentation. I really appreciated the updates. I think that you guys have come a very long way since the first time that we brought you on board 2-3 years ago. So I'm really excited to see all the work that you guys have done. And I think this will be really good for measuring what you will do in the future. I just have a question for Crystal, and I'm not sure if Matt, if you can answer this. I know last year we had approved the contract at $42,000, and so this is an increase of $6,300. I know you're going to more events and capturing more things that we're doing. I did mention last year, and I'll mention it again, but I think you guys should be present during our full board or committee meetings. At the very least, our full board, we have it once a month, and there are a lot of important things that we pass, and I think it'd just be really great for you or someone from your staff to be here so that you can highlight what is going on. It's nice that our constituents can see what we're doing outside of the boardroom, but I think it's also as equally important that they know what's happening in the boardroom as well too. So if you could maybe talk a little bit about why the increase is there and what are you guys anticipating for this year?
I can speak to it if you want me to. It was really just around, we haven't increased since 2021, and we've, experienced a number of increases on our side just in terms of, staff increases with, wages going up. And then also just the number of events that we're going to has increased substantially. And I want to continue that because I think that's super important. I'm open to us, being at the full board meetings as well. And I appreciate you bringing that up again. And really it's around that. It's a 15% increase if you look at, our total contract value, and we haven't had an increase since starting our work back in 2021. So I felt like it was, still fair given the amount of increase that we've had and, the number of events, but still allowing us to be in a position where we can be, 100% committed, to delivering that full value and not, trying to cut any corners because we're worried about, increasing costs and making sure that we can go to, all of those events and capture all of that footage. Because I do think it's important to do that part of it really well.
Right, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Chair. Hi, Matt. Piggybacking on what Commissioner Zong has said, I totally agree. I think that, for our full board meeting, you could highlight one of the articles that we bring up, and sometimes they're extended, and sometimes they're very short, but I don't think it would be a bad idea. So that when Hunch first started off, I was totally against you guys. I thought it's a waste of money. I'm eating my words. I think you guys do a great job. I think the last time I interacted was probably student. I'm sorry, was there something I missed, Mr.
No, sir, go right ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I interrupted you. last time I think I interacted with Hunch was Student Government Day, and I think the young lady's name was Maddie. You have somebody?
Yep, Madison Molesky, she's
Back
actually
there?
with
Oh,
me.
she is back
Yeah.
there. Okay. You know, the best part about it is we don't know they're there. And that's the best part of having them take pictures. She was with us most of the day, took some pictures, and a lot of us didn't realize that she was there, but then all the prints are out there. So I commend you on that. I still think you should have somebody here for the full board. Other than that, I think you guys are doing a great job. Thank you. That's all I have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And to follow Commissioner Kraft's path, this is within our budget. Is that correct? Thank you. Seeing no other speakers, please vote.
Uh-oh. I'm in trouble again. Am I in trouble again?
Just say yes.
I'm in trouble again. I voted yes. I'm refreshed.
Commissioner
too.
Pern, I'm missing your vote as well.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. You'll notice Adriana is sitting here assisting me with these votes, so when
Yeah, I see
they
that.
don't record, she's very helpful.
Yes, she is.
Next item on the agenda is item 9, resolutions. Resolution 2024-11885, a resolution opposing Senate Bills 549, 554, and House Bills 5088 through 5093. Commissioner Kraft, Commissioner Sabatini, and Commissioner Romano. Motion to refer to full board.
Motion to refer to full board.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Van Sickle. Before I get into comments, I want to mention that this resolution, the vote on this resolution is not raising or not lowering water bills for anybody. Many of us have received resolutions from our local municipalities. So Commissioner Kraft, would you like to speak on the resolution at all?
I was able to sneak my comments in before we tabled it last time, so I'm good, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Sabatini.
Thank you, Chair. There's been a lot of discussion on this. Years ago, when the GLWA was created, one of the things that surprised me was that they stated at that time that water was not a utility. I always believed that it was a utility. Through the deliberation and when that was all created, that was what the law stated. I know a lot of people have spoken about this. I know Commissioner Miller has spoken a lot about this. At the end of the day, when we talk about a lot of these different types of increases, whether it's $2, whether it's $1, they continue to increase. And my constituents are really tired of that, quite honestly. And my community did pass a similar resolution, as did many of your communities. And seeing that locally was one of the main reasons why this resolution was brought to this board. And yes, collectively, whether you believe this is a county issue or just a state issue, it affects all of us. And that's why the resolution was brought here, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Romano, would you like to say anything?
Thank you, Commissioner. This was originally set up by by Commissioner Kraft and Commissioner Sabatini, and I asked to be added to this at the last minute, and Chair Brown was kind enough to do that. I'm very sympathetic for the people that have this water shut off, and I understand that. But it's not just about the water part. There's other things that this money being used for that I'm not in agreement with. And I heard some comments from some of the people in the audience about, I'm in Sterling Heights. I'm on the east side of Sterling Heights. Sterling Heights has hundreds of people that have the possibility of water shut off. I don't believe that. Now, water has gained in price along with many other things. And I would think that if I was a participant of having water shut off, the first thing I would say to myself is, what's the most important thing to me for my family? Food, lights, warmth, water, and everything else would be after that. So, again, as I said, I'm very sympathetic for it, but I just won't support it. And if all of you have received information from our Drain Commissioner, Commissioner Miller, it kind of outlines why we should oppose this, and I'm strongly in favor of it. Thank you, Chair. All done.
Commissioner Song. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I think each of us could pick up the phone and call our state legislators and express to them exactly what each of you just said. Frankly, I think that this resolution should not be on our agenda, because whether water is important to you or not, or water affordability, this is not a decision that we're going to make, whether we're going to impose a $2 or $2 monthly fee. And if each of you feel strongly about that bill, I think you can pick up the phone and call your state legislators, as opposed to us having this discussion, because I don't think that this resolution will take us anywhere. And frankly, I don't want to take a formal position in sending this resolution with my name on it to our state legislators. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you, Chair. There's a group of people I haven't heard anybody speak about. And that's the group of our residents that are just above that poverty line where they can get help. They get no help, but they're struggling also, and they're going to have this extra charge imposed on them. I appreciate that, and these people don't need for us to help saddle them with more charges, which could help them slip beyond that line and fall into the poverty. Because we always talk about people below the line, but we never give any credence to the people just above the line who are also struggling. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Twice I've heard the statement, we are or aren't raising water bills. This is a resolution. Regardless of how we vote, we, this commission, are not raising or lowering water bills. Commissioner Lucido.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, I agree with what all of the commissioners here have said today. I don't think that we should necessarily be voting on this. I have my opinions on this bill. Some of the items in the bill I agree with, and some of the items in this bill I disagree with. But this is not our bill, and I personally don't think we should be voting on it. So this resolution, it's hard for me, and I agree with Commissioner Zong. I don't know if I can support this bill, only because, I'm not the one writing this legislation, and I believe the legislation is still a possibility to change. So with that said, to support it today, and if it changes tomorrow, I could possibly be in favor of it, the bill, if they do change it. So at this time, I would not be able to support it for that reason alone. But I do understand where Commissioner Miller is coming from and her concerns, along with everyone else that's sitting here today. Thank you.
Seeing no further speakers, for the record, I did want to indicate we did postpone this through a tabling motion on January 24th, 2024. A yes vote opposes the resolution, a no vote. Commissioner Perna, did you want to jump in here?
Chair,
That is what
point
I
of
was
order.
going to ask you. Please clarify the vote on this.
A resolution opposing Senate bills such and such and such. A yes vote is opposing the bills.
Opposing the Senate bill.
Opposing the Senate
Chair,
bills.
point of
Yes.
order. A yes vote means you're supporting the resolution that opposes the Senate bills and the
Yes,
House
that's
bills.
correct.
A no vote means you are not supporting this resolution that's being sent to the House and Senate.
Right.
Okay.
We all clear? Please vote.
I voted, honest.
Thank you.
You did.
It didn't. Motion passes 9-4. Commissioners Lucido, Nard, Wallace, and Song voting no.
Thank you. Next item is Resolution 2024-12000. A resolution approving a proposal for election of a charter commission to be placed on the 2024 general ballot as required by the county charter. I need a motion to refer to full board.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Van Sickle, supported by Commissioner Perna. Crystal, were you talking on this?
I can if anyone has any questions. This is required by the charter. It's very similar to the resolution that was adopted 10 years ago, which was the first time the charter required it in 2014 and every 10 years after that. The only reason it's not identical is we've changed our format of resolution since then. We now attach the ballot language that's been formatted based on election requirements. We did run that by the clerk's office. So if there are any other questions, I can answer those.
Seeing no speakers, please vote.
Motion passes 13-0.
Thank you. Next, item 10, ordinances. Ordinances 2024-XX, an ordinance to establish the 2025 through 2028 compensation of countywide elected officials, county commissioner, and chair of the board pursuant to section 10.11.1 of the Home Rule Charter of Macomb County, Michigan. I need a motion to refer to full board.
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion by Commissioner Van Sickle, supported by Commissioner Romano. Crystal.
This again is required by the charter. You are required to establish the compensation of the Board of Commissioners and the countywide elected officials for each new term before the filing date of that term. Therefore, the last countywide elected official ordinance was adopted 4 years ago in 2020. Since that time, the county employees' salaries have increased an average of 24%. The ordinance provided the elected officials a 1% increase each of those 4 years. The commissioners received 1% for 2020 and 21, 2% in 22 and 23. Obviously, that creates a large gap heading into 2025. A small work group of commissioners reviewed this information, and they put together this ordinance that's before you today. This this ordinance proposes a 6% increase each year. As a result, in 2028, this will bring the elected officials to where the average employee is today. So there will still be a gap, but it comes closer to closing that gap. This ordinance requires 7 yes votes to pass today at committee and full board next week. Are there any questions?
All I want to say is I want to commend Chairman Brown and the Compensation Committee. There were many options explored, much data gathered, many different proposals submitted. This was the best one we came up with. So it's one of these things where you can't please everybody all the time. So seeing no speakers, please vote. Commissioner Perna. A little late on the draw over there, bucko.
We vote too long.
Did you want to speak?
Yes. The compensation for the employees of the county and now the compensation adjustment for the Board of Commissioners to bring us up to par 4 years from now. My only concern is, and I'm certainly going to support this, is that our other elected officials, there is a big disparity between other counties, be it Washtenaw or Oakland, Genesee, Wayne, that we need to find some remedy or some resolution that our responsibilities based on population needs to be addressed in the future, that we keep our top elected officials and give them a fair share of the compensation. I know we can't do it at this time, but I think we need to keep it in the back of our mind that they also are leaders of this county and they lead our employees that provide services for all of our constituents, that we're not going to disband this, but it's still in the back of our mind that needed a fair share as well. That's my comment.
Thank you. Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you. I'd like to state that I'm in agreement with some of the people who spoke under public participation, that the clerk being the lowest countywide official should get a little extra bump. I'm going to support this resolution or this ordinance, but in the future, I'd like to see us catch up a little bit on the people who were low. I'm not sure why they were low. I've never understood that, but the clerk does have a lot of people and a lot of responsibility. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Chair. Just to add on to that, you mentioned the clerk. Let's don't forget about the sheriff. He's the lowest paid sheriff in the Tri-County area and he's got a big, big staff. And if you look at the numbers, you say to yourself, you wonder why, when his deputy can make more money than he does, and there's something wrong with that. So maybe Chair Brown, you could form a short committee. You don't have to put a lot of people into it. And let's look into it and see if maybe we can bring this back to the board to put these people where they should be, so that we don't have the situation that normally happens when we have dispatch people that want to go to the sheriff's department because the sheriff's department pays more, but then they leave the sheriff's department and they go into different cities as police officers because the pay is better there. I'd like to keep the personnel that we train and that we have with us so that they can stay, and one of the things that's going to keep them is the pay. That's all I have. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Zong.
Thank you, Chair. While this is an ordinance to compensate the electeds that are going to come after us in the next term, I just think it's really ironic that we're discussing how much to raise our salary when we just took a formal position to not support those who have financial issues with paying for their water. And so in good conscience, I cannot support this ordinance. I think it's really ridiculous that we even vote on our own salary. I think it should be up to the voters, or this whole process needs to be relooked at. But it's just kind of really ridiculous that we're now talking about raising our salary when we can't even support $2 a month for those who can't even afford to drink water. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Lucido.
Thank you, Chair. So I will say that I was part of the board that met to talk about this compensation. And we did discuss a lot of different options. And I think that a lot of our elected officials are paid below what other counties are paid. And I realize that that is a struggle, but at the same time, like, we do have to be somewhat financially responsible for our county and our taxpayers. And so giving a lot of extremely large increases all at one time does make it difficult and could be a burden on our budget. So I think what we came up with was a fair and equitable I think it's very fair to all the electeds. I know that some of them are underpaid, and maybe when we look at this again, like Commissioner Van Sickle said, maybe look at doing, like hiring someone to come in and maybe do like actual, like some sort of study just to make sure we can maybe at that time adjust all of the pays to make sure they're more equitable across, state lines. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Zinner.
Thank you, Chair. In regard to the sheriff, it isn't just pay, it's also they need the pension because all the other police agencies get a pension. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd just like to indicate we are doing this because this is part of the Home Rule Charter for Macomb County pursuant to Section 10.11.1. With that, seeing no further speakers, please vote.
What if we already voted?
We'll vote again.
We didn't vote the first time. Perna interrupted it.
Well, that's my question.
Vote again. That was Perna's fault.
Do you have my vote, Adriana?
Excuse me.
No.
Because I don't have a vote now.
Okay, if you voice vote, I can add it in.
Verbal.
No.
Okay.
Who's missing?
I'll vote yes. The screen, that's what happened.
Motion passes 8-5. Commissioners Grote, Kraft, Sabatini, Song, and Zinner voting no.
Thank you. Next item is our second of two public participation. This one allows for discussion on any county issues for a maximum of 3 minutes. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? please.
Thank you, Commissioners. Again, I'm Carol Chi. I live in Sterling Heights, and I'm just want to put a little bug in your ear to when my song's seat is vacated, and it'll only be for a few more months before the election occurs. And I would hope that you would pick a Democrat to replace her for those few months. And I hope it would be Connor Berdy. I'd recommend Connor Berdy, Connorberdy. He's a resident of Warren. He's very active politically, and he's a good young man. So thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard? No, you can talk on agenda items for 3 minutes.
I was really excited to hear Commissioner Miller speak and defend her own resolution. I thought she would get up during our audience participation. She chose not to. I was hopeful that she'd respond to me. My questions about what we're gonna do to sustain RAP. I don't know who on this board would wanna call the first senior, the first working mother, working father, and tell them that, sorry, we can't help you with your water bill. We're gonna have to put a lien on your house, and you're gonna lose the generational wealth you've been trying to build up for your family. To Commissioner Romano's point about, people being just above what they need to get help. I think people who are supporting these bills would gladly raise the threshold if that's something you're supporting. And I think you should call your state rep and tell them you want to see the threshold raised to $70,000. A family of 4, right now, it's 200% of the federal poverty line. So you don't have to be in poverty to get help under these bills. So 200% of the federal poverty line for a family of 4 is $60,000. So if you think that limit should be increased, so people who have a family of 4 are making $65,000 as a household or $70,000, I think the bill sponsor would be supportive of that. But I think Commissioner Song made a great point. You guys have you guys can't actually pass these bills, so there's not really any sense in putting forward this resolution. I think there was an excellent point made about, voting on your own compensation where you can't afford to help out, people with their water bills. I'll leave it at that. I'm a Fraser resident too, so I pay a very high water bill, like $125, $150 a month, right, as Commissioner Hugh knows. And it's very high. And I wouldn't qualify for help under these bills. I'm not looking at the last digit of my water bill when I open it up. I'm looking to see if it's a 3-digit number or a 2-digit number. I'm looking to see if it's a 4 or a 5 in that second spot. I know there are people in farther north communities here in Macomb County who maybe this isn't such a problem because people there are wealthier on average. Also, your infrastructure is newer, but eventually your infrastructure will age too, and people will continue moving north. And you will have the same problem we're going to have in Warren, we're going to have in Fraser, where you have an aging infrastructure and less of a tax base. And I would, these bills are good because they get out ahead and solve that problem. SEMCOG says we need to spend $2 billion more a year as a state to catch up with our water infrastructure. The rate, that burden cannot fall on the ratepayers, especially the most, vulnerable, the people who have the least. And there are emergency situations where people aren't deciding to spend money. You could go medically bankrupt. How are you going to pay your water bill then? So they're going to, bankrupt, and they're going to take your house, and then it's a water bill, the tax lien. Is that time? Is that
10 seconds.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you. Please.
Thank you. You've heard from plenty of us about our opinions and concerns about the water issues across the region and the state. What I think I'm really hoping you all will take into more consideration, especially as this goes to the full board, is really encouraging more town hall conversations about this. I see that no one took any of the copies of what I put here, but one of the things that I listed at the bottom is that there are several meetings coming up across the county where there are going to be more conversations. And even though Mount Clemens is one of the places where a resolution was passed against it, there's going to be a town hall meeting tonight with hosted by Commissioner Calhoun at the Mount Clemens Library from 5 to 7. So residents are still coming together to talk about this. People are interested, and I have ties here too, even though I haven't talked about it. My husband was raised in Mount Clemens. We still come and spend time with family and friends that are living here in the area. He grew up on Hancock Street. Excuse me, this is the running joke in the family. They always thought they were Mount Clemens, they're in Clinton Township, and they were confused as teenagers when they were told it was otherwise. So anyhow, side thing. There's also another thing coming up in Warren on Monday at the Salvation Army. And on March 2nd, there's going to be something at UAW Local 228 in Sterling Heights. So working people, residents are interested in still talking about these issues. And I appreciate that you are trying to look at them and you're putting forward your opinions, but it's really a bigger conversation I believe deserves to be had. And so I'm hoping that you will talk with your local government and see about how to have more conversations about this. These are long-term issues, and as many communities have discussed, the water infrastructure issues, they're hard because no one wants to pay those bills, and we're all coming due on bills that are costly. And so we've got to figure out how to do it equitably, and every community needs to make these individual decisions, but they need to be part of conversations. Residents don't come to these meetings. I've been going to meetings for many years because they seem pointless and they seem like decisions already been made before people can weigh in and honestly have an opportunity to have you think differently or shift your opinion. And so it's also about the way we want to build democracy and want residents to feel that they can trust these spaces in order to give voice. But if they feel like they've already been predetermined, it's hard to feel that they're open. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, we will close public participation. Next item on the agenda is commissioners' comments. Commissioner Perna.
I brought up yesterday about your W-2 forms, and I think everybody has received their W-2s for last year. I did meet with personnel today, and just for the record, for clarification, your W-2 for 2023 and your final paycheck for 2023 do not agree year to date. You may not have noticed that. Your W-2 is correct. Your year-to-date, as of the end of 2023, is not correct because they just changed company and there was a merger issue, but your W-2 is correct, even though your paycheck ending 2023 has a different amount. Take that to the bank.
That was explained at the retirement board today, that 1099s are supposed to be in everybody's hands today or tomorrow.
Well, I got mine yesterday, so you probably got yours.
Yeah, I got mine this morning. I'm a little further along than you. Commissioner Nard.
I did vote no on that resolution that was here. But I also took the time to talk to different people in my community, which is Centerline and South Warren. And that is what prompted my decision why I did that. And I agree with some that this actually shouldn't have even come across for us to even decide, because we're not going to be the deciding factor in what happens. But I want to give a quick statement so that some can understand why some of the residents feel why they feel and why some of the people sitting on this board feel the way that they feel about this bill. As representatives of the people entrusted with responsibility to safeguard interests of Macomb County residents, it is imperative that we stand united against potential ramifications posed by this proposed legislation. The inclusion of an affordability factor within 3 bills threatened to force Macomb County into contributing more to the low-income water residential affordability program that we would stand to receive in benefits. This financial imbalance translate into increased water bills for our constituents, a burden that our hardworking residents should not bear. Moreover, the introduction of a donor county system raised legitimate concerns about perceived inequity, eroding the trust our residents place in our local governance, dissatisfaction among our constituents is a real and tangible risk, and we cannot afford to compromise the faith they have in us as elected representatives. The potential redistribution of surplus funds from Macomb County to other regions under this proposed system hampers ability to address local challenges and invest in essential water infrastructure improvements. As responsible stewards to our communities' well-being, we must reject any framework that impedes our ability to ensure the prosperity of Macomb County. Our duty-bound role as commissioners, well, I'll speak, direct that to myself. As a duty-bound Board of Commissioners representative, necessitates advocating for the best interests of my constituents. Any disproportionate impact resulting from this legislation could lead to political ramifications and reduce public support for and as commissioners. We owe it to our community to safeguard not only their financial stability, but also their trust in our leadership. And that's the big thing. You know, this is Macomb County, so when we sit up here, we are sworn to take care of our residents in Macomb County. Now, I know that there's a Bible scripture that says, to whom much is given, much is required. Macomb County is somewhat of a wealthy county, and we're the third largest county in the state. That's true. But is it fair for us to ask our constituents to take care of everybody else's problem? And everybody here knows that a lot of the things that go on in Macomb County is usually the one that's footing the bill. And that's what our constituents are saying to us. So when someone says something or we make a decision, we try to make the decision based on the community that we live in. Now, south of Warren, they may need that. But when I talk to them, they say they don't. They say that, as Commissioner Van Sickle brung up, there's people that are right at the poverty line and right before they get to middle class. Those people will not be able to even get that, and these people can't pay their bills either. And so what are we going to do about them? Is we have to think about that when we're making these types of decisions. And I wish that you all will bear with us, and hopefully we'll get more conversation about this bill. And another thing that I'm really against is if someone commits a crime, say they turn their water on when it's turned off for non-payment, and they turn it on, whatever the opposing penalty is, they should get that opposing penalty because they've done the crime. We don't want to give people the impression that they can go around turning their water on and hopefully not, but possibly break the infrastructure. Now, that's another thing we got to do is fix that now. So we want to be careful when we're putting things in these bills and just giving people things. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm really one that's tired of just giving, and nothing is teaching these people how to take care of their bills. And I understand that Martin Luther King once said, you know, you want to tell somebody to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, but they don't have a boot. I understand that. But now, the way things are going in the 21st century, we have the opportunity to get some boots. And if we choose to play the lottery with it, or buy something to drink with it, or something, you know, other than what we need to do and not pay our water bills or our light bill or our gas bill, then whose situation is that? Is that, you know, to make legislator like us have to make a decision on that is very unfair. And I just want us to start, when we doing these things, to make sure that we're putting something in there so that people will understand that they need to learn how to, let's not just give them a fish, let's teach them how to fish. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's just start putting things in so people can start learning how to take care of themselves and not so much depend on the government. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Van Sickle.
Thank you, Chair. First, a note to my fellow commissioners. For the first 3 years as a commissioner, I used an FSA, which is a benefit. And this past year, the company kept changing my account balance numbers. And HR has been working all year, this year, trying to figure out with the company why they're so wonky. That's a technical term. Anyway, HR and the company haven't been able to supply any kind of answer as to why they keep changing these numbers. So I would suggest to anybody who has an FSA to go back and check your account balances at the beginning of January to make sure that the account balance matched the amount that you had withheld. Because they cheated me by hundreds of dollars until I said something. Second, This year I switched to an HSA, and the HSA company is not giving us the money in for 10 days. And so I've commented to HR about that, and they haven't been able to answer that either. Hey, we're in the computer age. Things happen in a blink of an eye. You should get we had some medical bills to pay, and we couldn't pay them because the HSA money hadn't shown up. And things should happen a little bit more quickly, and if our vendor can't make things happen more quickly, like maybe the same day you get paid, maybe we ought to look for a different vendor. Last, I'd like to make a comment about, I voted yes for the resolution to oppose this bill. I am not opposed to helping people who need help. But, in my opinion, this was not the bill to do it. The bill should be rewritten differently and should come at the problem from a little different approach. If it was written differently, depending upon how it was written differently, I could support something like this, but not the current bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Zinner, bless you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Going along with what Commissioner Van Sickle said, according to some of the statistics that we've looked at, the people who really need the help are not going to get the money. And the companies, the institutions, they're going to get the money for workers and what else was it done?
For workers
Workers.
and buying materials.
Buying materials. The money isn't going to go to the people who really need the help. So it doesn't help them. Now, there are things that obviously some people aren't aware of. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. First, I'd like to conclude Commissioner's comments. Thank Adriana for sitting here and sorting through this disaster of a system. I can tell you our chairman has talked to the people that sold us this thing and kind of gave them a pretty tough ultimatum. Well, we as chairs and voters can't be caught in this situation trying to manage voice votes, hand votes, and toe votes, or whatever else we got going on here. So I want to thank Don for doing that. Secondly, we received our 2023 year-end report this morning at the Retirement Board. We have a balance of $1.1 billion. We turned dividend profits of approximately 17.38% in a very volatile market, except for the last 3 months. So from a healthcare and a retirement board standpoint, Macomb County is very healthy. Lastly, I want to touch on the issue. I heard 4 commissioners comment that this item should not have been on the agenda. It is the discretion of the chairs, as we know, of what goes on the agenda. I have been arduous in saying if it's not applicable to the Macomb County budget or our legislative responsibilities, it's not going to get on government ops. I deviated from that for this agenda item. I can assure you I won't do it again. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is...
Motion, who said that?
Go ahead.
There's nobody
Beat
else
him,
on
beat
here.
him.
Dutch. Okay, where were we at?
Adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
No, Wallace did it.
Commissioner Romano, Commissioner Wallace. Well,
Wallace.
you were first. Commissioner Wallace, Commissioner Romano.
I'll
Sorry,
take-
Joe, you got bumped.
I got
Please
bumped.
vote.